Hello guys, today we're going to do on Maymay Made It a fun little card that was inspired from a video that I saw this morning on Split Coast Stampers on her YouTube channel. I want to say her name is Giada, and she does incredible work, and I just want to give her credit for it. But this is where I saw it, and she did a little circle card that used these elements, and so that's where this comes from. We're going to use a couple stamp sets today. I'm actually going to feature a couple. I love this stamp set. You can see because it's so used and so bad, but this is all decked out from Close to My Heart. It is, I call it affectionately my Snowman paper doll because I can do anything with this stamp set. All these pieces are separate, and you can have the buttons any way you want them, or you can have individual buttons or carrot or a face put together, and I've got some off of here because we're going to use them today. But I love this stamp set, so I'm featuring it yet again. If you haven't bought this stamp set and you like to do crafting of any kind, this is the one for you. Love this stamp set. So all decked out. We're also going to be using one that is called Snow Flurries, and I'll be using the Winter Wonderland sentiment and some of the snowflakes on this one. So I'm going to put those aside for now. Now this card starts, first off, it's a shaped card. If you saw the picture on my blog, if you've been there first, you've seen that this is a shaped card. This card starts with circles, actually 6 circles. 3 of the circles are plain white circles for our body of our snowman, and then 3 of the circles are scallop circles. Now, this scallop circle is cut at 4 1/4, and this scallop circle is cut at 4. So I just barely have a little scallopy edge around it. This scallop circle is cut at 3 1/4, and this circle is cut at 3. So again, little frilly edge. And then this scallop circle is cut at 2 1/4, and this one is cut at 2. Now you can adjust this any way you want to. I just kind of wanted a 4 1/4 inch card when we finish, so that's what we're going to start with. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to adhere these circles to these circles. And for the sake of time, I've already done that. So I'm just going to pull these aside and show you that. So here are my 3 circles, and what we're going to do now is pierce the holes because we're going to put our brads in to hold these together. So I'm going to show you what I do because I don't have one of those piercing mats or a piercing tool either. This is the foam wrapping that comes inside your stamp sets to kind of, it's really used so that when you go to stamp, you can put your block and your paper on top of this, take your block and press to get you some pressure for the stamp. We're going to fold this in half and in half again. This is what I'm going to use to be my piercing tool. So that'll be my mat underneath. And then I've got actually an embellishment that's from one of the collections that I just kind of keep for a good piercing tool because it really pierces well. So I'm going to come in kind of deep. Now here's the thing. You're going to spin this card so you can't pierce at the edge. It will tear out. So we're going to come in kind of far, probably a 1/4 inch in. And this also ensures that I'm going through both pieces of paper. Now I've pierced it once, but I want you to pierce it again, and I want you to roll your piercing tool or whatever you're using around to make a good circle. Flip it over, do it again, because you're going to have some room for this brad to move or you're going to end up with a torn card. So there's one, and we'll do the next one. I really tried to work that up, and I'm going to see how well my brad will go into that. That's good because it's a pretty tiny brad. Now you might have seen at the beginning of the video I had the bigger brads. I decided to go with the smaller ones because of this turning action. So now I'm going to put them together, and what I do is I place my piercing tool through the hole, then I take my other piece through on the hole, and now I've lined them up so I don't have to search for where they go. And now we'll place our brad through the hole. I'm very careful with brads because I'm always afraid I'm going to bend it or mess it up or whatever. Then on the back, we'll just close it. I'm not even on camera, am I? I apologize. And on the back, we'll just close it down. Just like that. Okay, so now it'll spin, and you'll want to let it kind of loosen up and spin a little bit. Not too much because it won't be, it's not like a child will be playing with it or anything, but that's how that'll go. And now I'm just going to do the top piece as well and let you watch that. This time it's a little more important because I want to make sure that these match up. So I'm going to take a ruler and just kind of place it here to kind of get me in the right spot. I'm not exactly using that spot, but kind of close. I want to eyeball exactly where I want it to go. And now you can see the shape of our snowman starting to build. And again, I want to spin it and get it to kind of loosen up. So cute. Now, for my favorite stamp set. I love this stamp set. What I've done today is I have created using one of the scarves and one of the toboggan pieces. This is his head. I do the, this is face. I do the double, I load it double on my block. But I use this hat and I use this scarf. Now, I did not have markers to match my paper, so I'm going to show you how to get around that. This is the paper I used, and the colors of markers I had just didn't quite match exactly. So I'm going to stamp an image onto this paper and then cut it out. And this is what I do. I make sure I use Stays On ink, which is my favorite ink anyway. I use it for just about everything. And I'm going to ink this scarf up really good. Now, the paper that I'm using here has a sheen to it. So when you stamp this, and I recommend that you put this pad underneath this one because of the printing onto printed paper like this, especially with the sheen, you're going to need to put a lot of pressure. So because of the sheen, I'm using the Stays On. I'm going to press down really hard, lift off of it, and now I need to let that dry for a few minutes, because, like I said, because it has that sheen. Now, if I was doing a piece of paper that didn't, I could get started on it right away, but I will have to do it. But here's what I did. I stamped this, and then I cut it out, so I ended up with this little scarf piece, which turns out really cute. And it has a design on it, so once it's dry, there's a design on the paper that matches what you're doing. So we're going to use that today as well. And we'll move this away. I also did the same technique with the hat. I stamped it, and then I cut it out, and this is what our hat will look like. So now we have a scarf and a hat for the snowman. Before we adhere those, we'll move these things out of the way. I want to go ahead and do my other stamping on the snowman body. And what I'm going to stamp is his face, some buttons, and I'm going to stamp a sentiment at the bottom. Now for the sentiment at the bottom, this is the trick I'm going to use. When I finish this card, we're going to close it up so that it almost looks like a melted snowman. But before that, what I want to make sure of is that whatever sentiment I put in this section of the card can be covered by whatever size this circle is above it. There's glitter everywhere from these little brads. It drives me insane. Okay, so what I did was I laid out using my winter, can you see that? Using the Winter Wonderland sentiment and 3 snowflakes, I laid this out on my block, making sure that it would actually be able to be stamped here. So now I know that when I turn this around, this will be hidden behind this piece of circle that we've done here. So I'm going to stamp it in the center of this section. So again, you might have already guessed, I'm going to use my Stays On. Some black Stays On. I'm going to ink it up really well. Now I'm using a cardstock that has a texture to it. So I'm going to make sure I get it inked really well. Move that out of the way. And then, like I said, we're going to center it and stamp it. Pretty. Now the texture of my cardstock kind of gave it some, I like this look, it kind of gave it a little worn edge and then a darker edge, and I'm perfectly fine with that. If you're using a more smooth piece of cardstock, it won't do that to you. It'll be alright. And now look, when we spin this around, give that a second to dry obviously, when we spin it around, we get some pretty good coverage on that. So you won't be able to see it. And I like him kind of off kilter anyway because he's going to look kind of melty when we finish. Let's open him back up. So, ooh, if I can get him to open. Now it's time for his button. And this snowman stamp set that I love so much, this all decked out stamp set, comes with this little button that is a stamp. And I just place him on to one of my blocks. And now, bringing out that ink again, we're going to stamp his button. Now this button, being a single button, I'm going to have to do him whatever, how many times I want to do him. But I want to have 3 buttons on his tummy. 1 there. And I kind of keep them close together because it kind of gives him the effect of a rounder belly. If you go all the way down, it kind of shortens him out. But if you keep them kind of close, you get the effect of a rounder tummy. So now there's his buttons. He is so precious. Let's do his face while we have the ink out. So like I told you, I do the double. So I'm going to move that one out of the way. Ink his face up really well. I think this is really cute. Kind of angle him a little bit so he's smiling kind of crooked. You want to leave room for your hat and your scarf. Don't forget. You may even want to size that up first. Look how cute. Even if you didn't have a hat and a scarf, he's precious at this point. We're going to add that next. Now the scarf is kind of tricky because you want to be able to use that, you want that brad to be able to turn. So we're going to adhere it on either edge. So if you have a foam tape or something dimensional, that's what you're going to want to use here. So these are my dimensional dots. And they're actually little squares, which are perfect for this project. I get these at Hobby Lobby, these little squares. They're great because my scarf has square edges. So I'll put one on this end, one on this end. Peel those little guys off. I completely made a mess of those pulling them off. Then we're going to place this right above that brad. Not a problem that that brad is going to be covered up because it's really just serving the purpose of spinning. Look how cute this is already. Love it. Okay, so now his hat. And I honestly think his hat will be cute on dimensions as well because we've dimensionally lifted this up and we can get this lifted up too. And I'm going to kind of bring it over because I don't really think the dimensions work as well as I wanted to as far as like the size of his head and the size of my stamp set. Probably could have made that a little smaller, but I used this one because it was kind of the biggest one of all the hats in the collection. Let me show you this. I actually cut this top hat out, which was really cute too, but it was a little bit small. That's why I went with this one. So we're going to place his little toboggan hat on. So cute. Now you have arms, you have all kinds of stuff you can do with that stamp set if you want to add them. But when you go to send this card, you'll close him down and close him down, and look how he looks like a little pile of melted snowman. So he's melted down into himself, going away. And then when you deliver, when the person gets the card, they just spin him out, and he's adorable. I think he's so cute. I probably, you know, you could add the hands or whatever, but he is just really cute. You can obviously at this point add stickles or glitter pen or whatever you want, but I'm going to stop here for today. And I hope you enjoyed this little card, and maybe it'll make you think about some other things you can do with just simple circles and the all decked out stamp set, which I adore. Thanks so much, guys. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and enjoy the winter wonderland around you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.